Welcome on into the Sandlot Baseball League Season Number 1, 2025. Today we're going to see Week 1, Game 1 between the Clean Cleats and the Broad Street Bats. Let's jump right into the introduction, starting with the away team. Leading off and playing left field, Alex Gordon. Batting second, playing shortstop, Nomar Garcia-Parra. The DH and batting third, Jurickson Profar. In the cleanup spot and behind the dish, Joe Mauer. Following him, batting fifth, playing right field, Joe Carter. Batting sixth, Manny Machado at the hot corner. Playing center field and batting seventh, Christian Pache. Batting eighth, playing second base, Andy Fox. Batting ninth, Mr. Al Newman. That is your starting lineup for the Clean Cleats. Let's go on over to the home team, Broad Street Bats. Leading off, the man of steel himself, playing left, Ricky Henderson. Batting second and playing second, Chase Utley. Playing center field, batting third, Carlos Beltran. Playing third base, manning the hot corner, Ron Santo. In the 5 spot, playing shortstop, Jimmy Rollins. Batting sixth, playing first base, Mr. Brian Banks. Batting seventh, playing right field, Sal Frelick. The Gold Glover behind the plate, Patrick Bailey. And playing in the DH spot, Mr. Nick Lofton. The starting pitchers today, first up for the Clean Cleats is Tim the Freak Lincecum. He's got a lovely 19 outs on his chart. Against lefties and switch hitters, he will have a +4 to the roll, so 4 command. And against righties, it will be 5. Printed innings, 7. And going over to the home team, who will be taking the bump first is Jamie Moyer from 2001. 17 outs will be a 6 command or +6 against lefties. And against switch hitters and righties, he will have a 7 command. Goes 7 innings as well. Let's get on out to the field as we start up this game. All right. Jamie Moyer is just finishing up throwing his warm-up pitches out there on the mound. Let's see how he does. First up, we have Alex Gordon. This is going to be a 6 versus 12 on the matchup. Moyer's pitch, a very high 19, coming out throwing some heat. Gordon is going to take a swing, and that is a 18. He is going to start off the game with a pitcher's chart single. So while Moyer got the best of him with the first pitch, Alex Gordon's able to put bat on ball as he gets a single. This is a 7 versus 13, so Moyer's pitch, a 4, 7 plus 11 is not going to be good enough. So this is going to be Nomar's chart. Nomar Garcia-Parra takes a big swing and a 4. Oh no, that's going to be a ground ball. Alex Gordon's going to be thrown out at second. The attempt going to first base is a 19 plus 3, so 22 versus the infield of 12. So 22 versus 12. You're going to see, so 11 plus 12 is going to be a 23, and that's going to be a double play for the defense. Oh no, Nomar, hitter, ground ball, double play. Moyer is going to escape that big time, especially with that swing from Nomar's chart. Next up, batting third, we have Jurickson Profar. It's going to be another 7 versus 13. Moyer's pitch is another 4, so we're going to have another chance for the hitter here to potentially make a dent in Moyer. So on Profar's chart, he's going to get a swing and another 4, and that's going to be a second batter chart out for the away team, faltering early here as they're going to have 3 outs, and we are going to see Moyer escape a huge jam there. Going to flip things around here as Tim the Freak Lincecum comes to the mound. He is going to have a 5 versus 14 against Ricky Henderson here. So 5. Oh no, he rolls a 2. So this is going to be Henderson's opportunity to hopefully do what the Clean Cleats bats could not. Henderson's swing is a 8, and that's going to be the first walk issued by Tim Lincecum as Ricky gets on first there. Now, he is called the Man of Steel for a reason. He has a 25 steal rating, and it's going up against a 9. So we're going to see if he can swipe second. So defense has a 9, and they're going to have to beat out a 25. 9 plus 15 is 24, not good enough. Ricky is able to steal second base, and just like that, the home team has a runner in scoring position with no outs on the board. All right, Lincecum has a 4 against Utley's 12. Lincecum gets a 17, so that's going to be plenty. And again, we're adding in the 4 to whatever the die is rolled. Utley's going to take a swing here, and a 5. That's going to be a strikeout for the Freak himself. Sits Utley down. Batting third, we have center fielder Carlos Beltran. 4 versus 12. The Freak's pitch. 15 plus 4 is 19. Definitely enough to get it. So we get a 13. That's going to be a line drive to the shortstop for the second out of the inning, which brings up Ron Santo. Ron Santo is going to have a 13 against Timmy's 5, so Lincecum's 5 plus 10? Nope, 6. Nope, 9. 5 plus 9 is 14, just enough. That was really hard for me to see. Just enough, and Santo's going to take a big hack at it, and a 16 is going to be a fly ball, which will end the inning. So the Broad Street Bats had a shot at doing some damage there with a leadoff walk from Ricky Henderson, but he is stranded at second base, and the Freak gets out of some trouble. Top of the second here, and Moyer is going to take the mound. Moyer's pitch, this is going to be a 6 versus 13. Moyer's pitch is a 6. 12 is not going to be enough to beat Mowers on base, so Mowers is going to have a crack at this. Mowers' swing is a 3, and oh my goodness, this is insanity. Ground out to the second baseman on his own chart is going to put a third batter chart out for this Clean Cleats squad. They are struggling at the dish to start this game, and it may come back to bite them because Moyer is not going to be pitching this poorly throughout the game. And I say that now, but a 10 is not going to beat out Joe Carter's 13 there. He's got the L plus 2. So this is a chance for, again, the Clean Cleats to potentially do something against the all-dangerous Jamie Moyer. Carter's going to swing on his chart, and he gets a 17, and that's going to be a double. A double for Mr. Joe Carter is going to get him to second base with Manny Machado coming up to the plate next. Moyer gives up his second hit of the day. 1 on, 1 out for Manny Machado. Here comes the 7 versus 11, and Moyer's pitch is together, 15, huge pitch. What can Machado do? An 11, and that's going to be a line drive out to the shortstop. Joe Carter's still there on second base, and Christian Pache comes up to the plate. The outfield's going to move in here with 2 outs and 1 guy on. This is going to be a 7 versus 11. Moyer's pitch is a 7 plus 7 is 14. Enough. Pache is going to swing on Moyer's chart, and that is a 12. And that's going to be a pitcher line drive to end the top half of the second inning. So again, this team threatens with a guy in scoring position, but they cannot hit him in. Both pitchers allowing some early base runners here. We'll see who can strike first. Bottom of the second, Tim Lincecum takes the mound yet again, and he is facing the 5-hitter in Jimmy Rollins. This is a 4 versus 12. The pitch from Lincecum is well enough into the range that it's going to be his chart. Rollins is going to swing, and he is going to strike out. That is the second strikeout for Lincecum today, as he sits down Jimmy Rollins for the first out of the second inning. 4 versus 12 here as Brian Banks steps up to the plate. He's a 6-hole hitter. Lincecum's pitch is a 7, and that's going to be Banks' advantage. Banks takes a swing, and a 6 is going to be a batter chart out. So a second time that we've seen the Broad Street Bats get out on their own chart. Oh no, that's the first time they got out on their own chart. But that is the 4th overall batter chart out we've seen from both sides today. 4 versus 12 as Sal Frelick comes up with 2 out and nobody on. Lincecum will gain the advantage, so the swing is on Lincecum's chart. A 15 is going to be a fly ball, and the second inning will end with no damage done. We go to the top of the 3rd inning as the 8, 9, and 1 hitters are due up for the Clean Cleats. Moyer is going to take the bump. Andy Fox, a lefty, comes up to the plate. This is going to be a 6 versus 12 matchup here. Andy Fox playing first base for the Clean Cleats. 6 versus 12. Moyer's pitch, 16 total, high enough to beat the 12. And Andy Fox is going to strike out on Moyer's chart. That is the first strikeout from Moyer today, as he sits down the first batter of the inning. Al Newman is up. This is 7 versus 10. Not the best possibility for getting an advantage, but Moyer's pitch is going to be plenty enough for it to be on his chart. Newman's going to swing. That's a 12, and that's going to be a line drive out, caught at second base. 2 outs now for the Clean Cleats, with the leadoff man Alex Gordon coming up to the plate. This is a 6 versus 12 matchup. Moyer's pitch is a 17, high enough to get the advantage. Gordon's going to swing. A 16 is going to be the 3rd out of the inning as he flies out to the right fielder to end the top half of the inning. Bottom of the 3rd coming up here as Moyer gets a rest. Lincecum takes the mound again, and we have the 8-hole hitter, Gold Glover Patrick Bailey, coming up to the plate. This is a 4 versus 12 as Lincecum throws, and that is a 9, just beats out the advantage. That's going to be a 13. 1 more than Patrick Bailey has, but Bailey's going to get a high fly ball. 19 outs coming in handy for Mr. Tim Lincecum as he gets Bailey to fly out to the warning track for the first out of the inning. 5 versus 10 here as Lincecum pitches, gets the advantage. Lofton's going to need a 20 to even get a shot at a pitcher's chart single. And that is the second out of the inning as he also gets a fly out. Leadoff man Ricky Henderson comes up to the plate with 2 outs, 5 versus 14. Lincecum's pitch is going to just be enough with the 10 plus 5 is 15, one more than 14. We've seen some close calls here. The swing, a 19. That's a second high fly ball to the warning track, but it's not going to be good enough as Lincecum is dancing around danger here and gets the no-hitter to keep going. He's allowed a walk, so the perfect game is off the table, but he has not allowed a hit yet. Nomar Garcia-Parra, this second hitter, 2-hole hitter that is, going to come up. It is a 7 versus 13 here. 7 versus 13. Moyer pitches, and that is a 3. So this is going to be Nomar's second opportunity to get a hit on his chart. The swing from Nomar is a 14, and that's going to be good enough for a single. So with no outs, we get a leadoff. No outs, we get a leadoff single from Nomar Garcia-Parra. The 3-hole hitter, DH Jerickson Profar, comes up. This is a 7 versus 13. The pitch from Moyer is a 2. So he gets the advantage. Profar does. Let's see if he can have some better results than he did the first inning. The swing on Profar's chart, a 20, and that's going to be a home run. The bases will be cleared as Profar gets a 2-run shot off of Jamie Moyer to take a 2-0 lead. Wow. He makes Moyer pay for that one, and both Profar and Garcia-Parra get their woes back and do some damage against Moyer. The Clean Cleats take a 2-0 lead. It was 6 versus 13 here as Moyer tries to compose himself. He is going to very much come back and get the advantage. The swing by Joe Mauer is going to be a fly ball for the first out of the inning as Joe Carter steps up to the plate, the 5-hole hitter playing right field. He got a double his last time up. Moyer's pitch, as this is a 7 versus 13, and oh my goodness, a mistake pitch. A mistake pitch. This is going to be a 24-sided die roll, so we will add 4 to whatever the D 20 is here. So Carter's going to get 11 plus 4 because I don't have the D24 on there, and that's going to be a 15 for Carter, and that is a single. So a 1-out single here for Mr. Joe Carter. He's 2 for 2 on the day, a double and a single on there. It's a 7 versus 11. Moyer's really going to need to compose himself if he wants to stay in this game. That's going to be good enough for an 18. Machado swings, and a 5. Uh-oh, that's a ground ball. And the speed of Manny Machado is only a 13, so 13 plus 3 going to first base. Carter is going to be thrown out at second base, and this is against a 12 of the infield, so 12 versus 16. And, yep, that's going to be good enough for an inning-ending double play. Inning-ending double play, and Jamie Moyer escapes any further damage than he was possibly going to allow, but the damage was done. 2-0 Clean Cleats as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning. Let's see how Broad Street Bats can respond, because they're going to need to help themselves out. 4 versus 12, and that's a 20 total. Utley swings on the chart of Lincecum. A 10 is going to be a ground ball as Utley grounds out to the second baseman. The 3-hole hitter, Carlos Beltran, comes up to the plate. 4 versus 12. Lincecum's pitch is a 14, so it's going to be an 18 total. Beltran swings on Lincecum's chart. An 8 is going to be another ground ball as he also grounds out to the second baseman for the second out of the inning. This is a 5 versus 13 here as Ron Santos steps up to the plate. And he is going to get the advantage as he is 0 for 1 on the day. Santo is going to swing on his own chart, and that's going to be a 15, good enough for a single. So the no-hitter is finally broken up as Ron Santo gets a 2-out single off of Tim Lincecum. 4 versus 12 here. Lincecum's pitch is very high, so Rollins is going to need a 20 here to keep the inning going, and a 14 is going to be a line drive. Rollins lines out to the shortstop, and that's going to be the end of the 4th inning. As we head to the top of the 5th inning, it is the Clean Cleats 2, Broad Street Bats 0. Moyer is going to stay in the game as he faces the 7, 8, and 9-hole hitters of the Clean Cleats squad. So far in the game, Moyer has given up 7 advantages to Lincecum's 3. 5 hits allowed by Moyer and no walks, but he has given up 2 runs with 1 strikeout. Moyer is set to pitch. And this is a 7 versus 11. The pitch from Moyer is good enough to get his advantage. Pache is going to swing, and he gets a 9, which is a ground ball to the shortstop for the first out of the inning. So Moyer gets out number 1. First baseman Andy Fox comes up to bat. This is a 6 versus 12, and Moyer throws an absolute heater down the middle of the plate for the advantage. And Andy Fox is also going to ground out. He's going to ground out to the second baseman for the second out of the inning. The 9-hole hitter, second baseman Al Newman, steps up to the plate. This is 7 versus 10. Moyer's pitch, an 11, good enough for the advantage. And we get a 20 from Al Newman, and that's going to be a 2-out single from Mr. Newman. Moyer's 6th hit given up on the day. That will bring up the leadoff man, Alex Gordon. 6 versus 12 on the matchup. Moyer's pitch is another 20. So Gordon's going to be swinging on Moyer's chart, and a 12 is good enough for a line drive, and Moyer gets out of it with no further damage done. So Moyer does allow 1 hit in the inning, but no runs as he sits down. Bottom of the 5th inning here, and the 6, 7, and 8 batters are going to be up for the Broad Street Bats. This is a 4 versus 12 matchup here. Lincecum's pitch, good enough to get the advantage out of 20. Banks is going to roll and get the swing of a 13, which is a line drive for the first out of the inning. The right fielder, Sal Frelick, comes up to bat. With 1 out here, Lincecum's pitch for a 4 versus 12, and that's a 5. This is going to be Sal Frelick's advantage. Let's see if he can do something with it. And he is going to roll a 3, which is a hitter's ground ball. So, although Lincecum gives up the advantage, he's going to get an out as Sal grounds out to the second baseman. 2 outs now, as this is a 4 versus 12. And Lincecum is going to barely get the advantage here. Bailey takes a big hack at it, and he gets a single off of Lincecum. The only roll that Lincecum can't allow is a 20, and that's going to put Patrick Bailey on first base. 2 outs with a runner on first. A 5 versus 10 matchup here. Lincecum's going to pitch, and he's going to get a 14, which is definitely enough to beat the 10 of Nick Lofton, and Lofton's going to roll a 15, which is a fly ball, and that's going to end the inning. 3 outs for the Broad Street Bats, as they just can't really get anything strung together here. They have been trying their best to get some hits off of Lincecum, but they just haven't been able to string any of them together. We go to the top of the 6th inning. The Clean Cleats lead 2-0. Moyer comes back out for another inning of work, as he is going to be facing the 2, 3, and 4 hitters of the Clean Cleats squad. Moyer has given up the advantage to both Garcia Parra and Profar so far today. Got them to get out on their own chart twice, but then gave up the single to Nomar in the 4th, followed up by the 2-run home run of Jurickson Profar in the next at-bat. All right, we have a 7 versus 13 here. Moyer's pitch is a 17, good enough to get the advantage. Nomar rolls and gets a 12, which is going to be a line drive for the first out of the inning. So he gets Nomar there. Let's see what he can do against Profar. 7 versus 13 advantage. And a 2, so Profar is going to get his 3rd advantage of the day. What can he do with it? And he rolls a 6. Oh no, so he gets out on his own chart for the 2nd time of the day, even though Moyer is desperately trying to get him to do some damage at the dish. With 2 outs, we have Joe Mauer coming up to bat. 6 versus 13. The pitch is a 9, so that's going to be good enough for a 15 versus 13, so barely an advantage to Moyer. And Joe Mauer is going to strike out for the 3rd out of the inning. So, again, Moyer gives up an advantage, but no harm done as he escapes with a 1-2-3 inning. Bottom of the 6th inning here, and the 1-2-3 hitters are up for the Broad Street Bats. You got to think this is hopefully starting to become their time to shine a little bit here, because they need to do something. Lincecum is only allowed 2 hits all game. Both were singles and 1 walk, but he has been pretty filthy through 5 innings of work. All right, we have a 5 versus 14 matchup here. The pitch from Lincecum is a 3. Ricky Henderson is going to get his 2nd advantage of the day. Let's see what Ricky can do on his own chart. Anything above a 5 is going to be a hit or a walk, and he gets a 16. Good enough for his 2nd hit of the day, or 2nd base of the day, rather, as he gets a 16, and he is going to advance to first base. He is going to attempt to steal. 25 versus 9 for the defense, so he's going to try to swipe second. 9 plus a 15 is going to be a 24, and he is going to barely be safe at second base for the 2nd time today. So Henderson is 1 for 1 with a single and a walk and 2 swiped bags. You got to think that this is going to be the time for the Broad Street Bats. If they are going to do some damage off Lincecum, it's going to be here. 2 outs. Man on second, no outs with Utley up. This is going to be a 4 versus 12. The outfield's going to move in on Chase Utley here. The 4 versus 12 pitch, and that is going to be a 6. So Utley is going to get an advantage. And with the outfield in, he might have some saving grace on his chart. A 7 is going to be a walk. That is Lincecum's 2nd walk allowed today. So we have 2 on for Carlos Beltran. 2 on, no outs for the Broad Street Bats. 4 versus 12. The outfield's going to stay in. The pitch is a 20. Lincecum is dialed in there. And Carlos is going to strike out for the first. Sorry about that. First out of the inning. Big out there for Lincecum as Ron Santo comes up to bat. This is a 5 versus 13 matchup. The pitch from Lincecum almost was a mistake pitch, but this is still going to be good enough for Santo to get the advantage. Santo only has 4 outs on his chart, so anything above a 4 is going to at least get him onto the base, and an 18 from Santo is going to be a double. A double from Santo is going to move Henderson in to score for the first run of the game for the Broad Street Bats, and could be more. The offense has a decision to make here with the outfield in. This would be a 24 versus 10, and the offense is going to wave Utley home. Utley's going to come home on a 10 versus 24, so they need to get a 15 or higher to throw him out at the plate, and they're not going to get it. That's going to be a 2-run double from Ron Santo to get the game all tied up. Wow. A huge double there from Santo as Lincecum starts to falter a little bit. The outfield's going to stay moved in here as Jimmy Rollins comes up to the plate. This is a 4 versus 12 matchup. Lincecum's going to need to lock it in here, and he does. He's going to get the advantage. Rollins takes a hack at it and whiffs and misses as Lincecum is going to get his 4th strikeout of the day and pick up the 2nd out of the inning. Outfield's going to stay moved in here with Brian Banks up. Man on second, 2 outs. A 4 versus 12. Lincecum's pitch, good enough to get the advantage. A 20 is the only thing that Brian Banks is going to get hit-wise, and he rolls a 15, and he is going to fly out to right field to end the inning. But the damage is going to be done. As a huge 2-out double from Ron Santo ties the game up 2-2 in the bottom of the 6th inning. Top of the 7th here. Moyer's going to come out for a 7th inning of work. He's going to face the 5, 6, and 7 hitters of the Clean Cleats squad. 7 versus 13 here. Moyer's pitch, good enough for the advantage. Carter's swing is going to be a 17. A high fly ball caught at the left field's warning track for the first out. 1 away here in the top of the 7th. Manny Machado comes up to the plate. He's 0 for 2 on the day. 7 versus 11, and oh my goodness, Moyer is going to give up the advantage to Manny Machado here. Let's see if Manny Machado can take the lead in one swing. He's going to roll a 14, which is a single. And with 1 out, Manny Machado gets a single. 7 versus 11 here. Moyer's pitch, good enough for the advantage. Pache is going to swing and hit a ground ball to the shortstop. This might be 2. Machado is out at second base. Pache has a 23 versus 12 infield rating. 23 versus 12, so 12 plus a 16 is going to be an inning-ending double play for Moyer as he again gets out of the potential danger with a ground ball double play to end the 7th inning, which is going to be big, so he can face the 8-9-1 hitters of the Clean Cleats squad at the top of the 8th. Bottom of the 7th here. Tim Lincecum comes back out for another inning. 4 versus 12. On the matchup here, Lincecum's going to get the advantage. Sal takes a swing. And 11 is going to be a ground ball to the second baseman, and that is the first out of the bottom of the 7th inning. Patrick Bailey comes up to the plate. He's 1 for 2 today with a lovely pitcher's shark hit off of Lincecum. 4 versus 12 on the matchup. Lincecum gets the advantage, still going strong here. And a 16 is going to be a fly ball to the left fielder for the second out of the inning. Nick Lofton up next. He is the 9-hole hitter. 5 versus 10. Lincecum's pitch is a 2. That's going to be an advantage for Nick Lofton. Let's see if he can do anything with that. His roll is a 14, and that's going to be a walk issued. And that is Lincecum's 3rd walk of the day, as Lofton walks down to first base. Top of the order now for the Broad Street Bats, Ricky Henderson. He is 1 for 2 today with a single and a walk, 2 stolen bases. 5 versus 14 here on the matchup, and Lincecum is going to give Henderson the advantage. Henderson can't hit a lot of extra base hits. He would need a 20 to do an extra base hit here. He is going to get an 11, which is going to be a single. So with 2 outs, the Broad Street Bats are threatening here. Lofton at second, Henderson at first, with Chase Utley coming up to the plate. He's 0 for 2 with a walk today and a run scored. The outfield's going to move in here as they do not want to give up a go-ahead run here in the bottom of the 7th. 4 versus 12 on the matchup. And, Tim Lincecum is going to be giving up the advantage. That's an 11 total. Let's see if Utley can capitalize on the advantage. Utley's swing is an 11. That's going to be good enough for a single into the gap. And with the outfield in, the offense is going to have a decision to make. The outfield is a 10. And we don't know if the Broad Street Bats are going to get many more golden opportunities here. So let's send Nick Lofton home. He is going to have a 23 going home against a 10. Henderson is going to also try to get to third with a 21. But knowing they have to get the lead runner out and not give up a go-ahead run, the defense is going to choose to throw home. 10 versus 23, so they need a 14 or higher. The offense throws, and it's not going to be good enough, as the Broad Street Bats are going to take the lead on an Utley RBI single. Wow, with 2 outs. 2 outs, and Utley delivers for the Broad Street Bats, and he gets the go-ahead run. That's going to bring up the 3-hole hitter in Carlos Beltran. All the defense for the Clean Cleats is going to be regular, so we have runners on the corners and 2 outs. 4 versus 12. Lincecum's pitch is a 3. Oh dear, this is going to be another advantage. 4 straight for the Broad Street Bats. Can Beltran do some damage here? His swing is a 3, and that's going to be a brutal hitter shark ground ball out to end the inning for the Broad Street Bats. Man, the damage could have been so much worse, but the Clean Cleats are going to escape going into the top of the 8th inning down 3-2. Jamie Moyer comes back out for his last inning of work here as we get to the top of the 8th. Clean Cleats down by 1. Here's a 6-12 advantage, or matchup. The pitch is a 7, just enough to get The advantage for Moyer, and that's going to be a 2 as Andy Fox strikes out for the first out of the inning. Al Newman steps up to the plate next. He is 1 for 2 today with a single back in the 5th inning. 7 versus 10 on the matchup, and a 19 for Moyer is going to be enough for the advantage. And an 18, so twice now Al Newman's going to get a single off of Moyer as he goes to first. This will bring up the top of the Clean Cleats order, so we have 1 out, man on first. Brings up Alex Gordon. He is 1 for 3 on the day. 6 versus 12 on the matchup. 17, good enough for Moyer's advantage. The swing from Alex Gordon is going to be another pitcher's chart single, as the Clean Cleats are starting to get a rally here with 1 out, and they have 2 men on base. The offense of the Clean Cleats here with Nomar Garcia-Parra coming up is going to think about possibly pinch running for Al Newman there at second base. They're going to go to their bench here to see what kind of options they have. Al Newman currently playing second base, so they would have to move some guys around in order to have another second baseman come in. But at this point, they're going to need some help here. So they're going to pinch run for Al Newman here. They're going to go to the St. Louis Cardinal speedy man himself. That's going to be Victor Scott. Victor Scott is going to come in to pinch run for Mr. Al Newman. So Newman is coming out of the game. They're going to have to find a defensive sub there once we come back to the defensive part of the inning, but seems worth it to get a speedy man on second. So with 1 out, Scott comes in to pinch run. He has a 22 speed, so he's a bit quicker than Newman is with only 17 speed. So we have 2 on with 1 out. Nomar Garcia-Parra coming up to the plate. He is 1 for 3 on the day. Single back in the 4th with a run scored. It's a big pitch here coming from Jamie Moyer, 7 versus 13 on the matchup, and oh my goodness, he throws a mistake pitch. After his team finally gets the advantage and takes the lead, he throws an X pitch, so this is going to be a roll of the 20-sided die +4 since we don't have the power die on there yet. This is a big swing from Garcia-Parra. The outfield did come in. Nomar is going to roll a 1, but +4 is going to be good enough for a 5, which is still going to be a fly ball out on his own chart. Goodness gracious. That is a huge out for Jamie Moyer. That was about the only thing that Garcia-Parra could not do, and he would have at least gotten on base, if not more than that. That brings up Jurickson Profar. He had the big 2-run home run to take a 2-0 lead back in the 4th inning. He has gotten the advantage on all 3 at-bats today, but he is only 1 for 3. But that one swing doing a lot of damage. That is a 9, good enough for the advantage. So unless Profar, we got to run that back. Garcia-Parra gets a fly ball turn single because the outfield was actually in. So let's take that back. He's going to get a single, and that's actually going to be a huge difference maker, as I forgot with the outfield in. The hitter's chart fly ball actually turns into a hitter's chart single. Huge turn of events. And the offense is definitely going to be sending Victor Scott. The outfield was in. But with 1 out, maybe they'll hold him. So it'd be a 12 versus 22, a 50-50 shot. But with Profar coming up, I think they're going to have to take the shot at it, especially with no potential defensive good subs. They're going to wave him home, actually, and this is going to be a 12 versus 22, so the defense is going to need to throw. The defense is going to need to throw higher than a 10 to throw the runner out. And it's a 7. Victor Scott's going to come in to score, and oh my goodness, Nomar gets the game-tying RBI single, and what a great idea to pinch run for Al Newman. So we're going to have 2 on with 1 out as Profar comes up to the plate. 7 versus 13. Huge apologies on that. 7 versus 13. Moyer's going to get the advantage. Outfield is still in for the Broad Street Bats. And oh my, a pitcher's chart single for Jurickson Profar is going to send Gordon to second, Gordon to third, Nomar to second. And the Clean Cleats have another decision to make. Are they going to send Gordon home? A 12 versus 24, and they're going to do it. They want to take the lead. They're going to be a bit greedy here. So they are going to need a 12 versus 24. So 12 plus whatever this roll is. 12 plus 3 is a 15, and Gordon's going to come in to score. Profar is going to get an RBI pitcher's chart single. And all of a sudden, where we thought the Clean Cleats were going to be in some huge trouble here, have actually scored 2 in the inning, and that's going to push Jamie Moyer from the game as he is now tired. And the Broad Street Bats are going to have to turn to their bullpen. With 1 out, the Clean Cleats have taken a 4-3 lead. Be helpful if we added the run there. 4-3 lead, with Profar definitely being an MVP here so far of the day. As we look at the bullpen options for the Broad Street Bats, they have left-hander Antonio Bastardo with a 6 command, a 4 command with 5 against lefties, Jose Mesa, Carmen Wadinsky, or Mark Lowe. And with 1 out, they'll be facing the minimum of Joe Mauer and Joe Carter unless Mauer hits into a double play. It is the top of the 8th inning here. And decisions. It's a big spot. The defense is going to turn to pitcher Mark Lowe from the Texas Rangers as they make a substitution here. Mark Lowe has a 6 command, right-handed pitcher, 16 outs. So they're turning to someone who may have a issue here getting some pitcher's chart hits, but not wanting to be a lefty with a couple guys that are better against lefties and Joe Carter coming up. They're hoping they can get some damage done here. Now, we have Nomar at second, Profar at first. Outfield's going to stay in for the defense here. And the Clean Cleats have scored 2 runs, and they've had 3 pitcher's chart hits this inning, which has helped lead to that. 6 versus 14 here on the pitch, and Mark Lowe is going to get the advantage. A huge first pitch here for him, as a 9 is rolled, and a 9 on Mark Lowe's chart is going to be good enough for a ground ball. So Nomar is going to get to third, Profar is going to be thrown out at second, and Mauer is going to have a 16 versus 12. So 12 on the 12 plus the die on the throw to get the double play, and that's going to be a total of 19, which is good enough to get Mauer to ground out into an inning-ending double play. Wow. What a wild turn of events for the Clean Cleats as they take a 4-3 lead going into the bottom of the 8th inning. Huge hits from Nomar and Profar so far, as they get each singles to get some runners across the plate. That last inning, Carlos Beltran hitter chart out is going to be a huge potential turning point here. The Clean Cleats defense is going to make some defensive substitutions, as Joey Meneses is going to come in for Victor Scott. Victor Scott's going to take a seat. Meneses is going to come in to be batting ninth, but he's going to slide into the first base slot. And Andy Fox is going to be sliding over to second base. So the defense of the Clean Cleats in the infield takes a little bit of a hit as they go from, I believe it was 11 maybe before, or 10, down to 9. But with a 4-3 lead, I think they're happy with their decision that they made to pinch run for Al Newman. Tim Lincecum comes back out onto the field, and he is going to be facing the 4, 5, 6 hitters. It seems like this might be the Broad Street Bats' best chance at maybe tying up this game. 5 versus 13 on the matchup. Lincecum's going to get the advantage, and Santos' swing is a strikeout for the first out of the inning. And that's going to be Lincecum's 5th strikeout on the Broad Street Bats for today. With 1 out, nobody on, Jimmy Rollins comes up to the plate. He is 0 for 3 today. This is a 4 versus 12 matchup, and Lincecum's going to roll the 2. This is going to be a hitter's chart opportunity for Jimmy Rollins. Rollins' swing is a 2, and that's going to be a ground out to the shortstop, as the Broad Street Bats have gotten yet another batter's chart out, which is proving to be a huge bugaboo for them in this game. In fact, that is their 4th batter chart out on 12 opportunities for the Broad Street Bats. Brian Banks comes up with nobody on and 2 outs. Banks is 0 for 3 today. 5 versus 12, and that's going to be enough for the advantage for Lincecum. And Banks rolls a 13, which is going to be a line drive for a 1-2-3 inning for Lincecum, as he sets down the 4, 5, 6 hitters of the Clean Cleats. And Lincecum's day will probably be done as they head to the top of the 9th. 4-3 lead for the visiting team. As we head to the top of the 9th, it is right fielder Joe Carter in the 5 spot coming up to bat. Lowe's going to trot back out there for a second or third out here. This is a 6 versus 11. Lowe's pitch is a 19, good enough for the advantage. Carter's swing is a 5, and that's going to be a ground ball to the second baseman for the first out of the inning, and that's going to bring on another pitcher for the Broad Street Bats as they look to face Manny Machado, Christian Pache, and Andy Fox. As the Broad Street Bats consider their options, they're going to go with right-hander Jose Mesa to try to secure these last 2 outs. Jose Mesa has a 4 command against righties, and against lefties and switch hitters, it is a 5 command, 18 outs. He was top 10 in saves in that year of 2001. His first appearance for the Broad Street Bats. He's going to be facing Manny Machado. So 4 versus 11 here. Mesa's pitch is a 19, good enough for the advantage. Machado's swing is a 6, and that's going to be a ground ball to the shortstop for the second out of the inning. Going to be a pinch hitting situation here as the Clean Cleats are going to go to their bench. Christian Pache is going to be replaced in center field by another center fielder, his actual real life, well, a one-time teammate, Johan Rojas. Going to be pinch hitting here because the matchup's obviously going to be a bit better. Rojas comes in to play center field. Not going to be any defensive change to the outfield as far as number-wise. But Mesa is going to be able to face Rojas here. This is going to be a 4 versus 10 matchup. 4 versus 10. The pitch is a 7, just good enough for the advantage. And Rojas swings. A 6 is going to be a ground ball. And that's going to end the frame for the Clean Cleats. We head to the bottom of the 9th. Clean Cleats 4, Broad Street Bats 3. As it's going to come down to the last 3 hitters, the 7, 8, and 9 hole hitters for the Broad Street Bats. Can they produce a miracle here? The Clean Cleats have a decent bullpen that they can go to. They have left-hander Danny Young for command, John Duran, Trevor Rosenthal, Mark Davis. They're going to be facing a left-hander in Freelick, a switch hitter in Bailey, and a right-hander in Nick Lofton. And they're going to be turning to closer Mark Davis. Mark Davis boasts a command of 4 against lefties and against the switch hitters and right-handed batters. Davis is going to have a 6 command. Davis has a 1 to 6 strikeout range, so it's pretty high. Good for the defense. 1 through 5 strikeout range. 18 outs, has a slew of icons, and he's going to get that 6 command against 2 of the 3 batters that are coming up for the Broad Street Bats, unless they decide to pinch hit. So 4 versus 11 here. Can the Broad Street Bats have some kind of magic in the bottom of the 9th? 4 versus 11, and the roll is an 8. That's going to be a 12, just enough to get the advantage. Freelick swings, and he's going to roll a 3, and that's going to be a pitcher chart out, or a pitcher strikeout for the first out of the inning. Patrick Bailey steps up. He is 1 for 3 on the day. This is going to be a 6 versus 12 matchup here. 6 versus 9. And the roll is a 20, so it's not going to matter who they put up there. I believe that is an 18, and that's going to be caught at the warning track for the second out. Bailey almost got enough of it, but that 18 outs of Mark Davis proves to be very useful. And the Broad Street Bats are down to their final out, looking at possible pinch hitting options here for Nick Lofton. They have no one that's a real power threat, but they're going to go to the bench, and they're going to make a defensive substitution here. You might as well. You got to hope for the best. They're going to be subbing in for Nick Lofton. They're going to be sending Kurt Casale up to the plate for the Broad Street Bats and their final out. This is going to be a 6 versus 12 matchup. 6 versus 12 matchup. So 6, and the pitch is a 9. So unless Casale can get a huge swing here, the game is going to be over. The swing and a 1 to end the game. And that's going to be the final score for the day. Mark Davis getting the save for the Clean Cleats, and they're going to take the first game of the series. Wow. First game of the series, first game of the season in the books. And what a wild one it was, as the Clean Cleats take care of the Broad Street Bats with a final score of 4-3. Lincecum is going to pick up the win for the day. He went 8 innings strong, allowing 6 hits. One of them being a double, 3 runs, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks. Davis will get the save. Coming in for the bottom of the 9th there. He obviously getting 2 strikeouts, allowing 0 hits. The loss is going to go to Mr. Jamie Moyer, as he gives up 4 runs on the day. Went 7 1/3, allowed 11 hits though, but just too much damage done by that very dangerous Clean Cleats squad. Player of the game for the Clean Cleats, other than Tim Lincecum, you'd think would have to be Jerickson Profar, going 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs on the day. And the Clean Cleats are going to improve to 1-0 on the season as the Broad Street Bats drop down to 0-1. As we think about the next game and matchup coming up, let's head on over to the screen here to see who's going to be up next. And it's going to be the Base Bandits taking on the Strikeouts. So thanks for following along, everybody, and we'll see you next time for the Base Bandits and Strikeouts game number 2.